Lovely. Hey, let's go in here.
Don't kid around.
What are you, chicken?
No.
It's over. We lost the farm.
Cancer. Oh.
Unhappy ending? I'll see.
Okay, I think it's time for Hollywood on the Rocks. Let's go. And where's Alan?
Alan, I've been looking for you myself. Alan.
Man,
What's
you
going
really
on,
do
man?
want to end early.
What? What are you
It's like,
talking about?
we're only a minute in and I'm on camera.
Yeah, how'd you get here? We're late actually. We're a couple minutes late. Here, that fixed it.
Yeah.
There we go. Trying to fix things here. Thank you for joining us today. I want to say there was no nooner this morning. And then Gary calls me out of the blue and we chat for 45 minutes and had one of the most interesting, like compelling discussions. I was like, why did we not?
Yeah. Why are
This
you not
could have
streaming
been
this
the nooner.
conversation?
It was awesome. So there you go. How you doing, man?
Good. I just got off watching a movie about a nude pastor and his nude church.
Did you say got off watching?
Got off watching.
We roll it back. What did Alan say? He said got off watching. I heard it. You heard it. So there you go. Yeah, but we are, I mean, I don't know what it's like for you, Alan. Around this time of year, it's like 3 movies a day. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Well, I've been covering the festival, and that's pretty much on par. Three
Right,
movies
right.
at the festival. Yeah.
But between, Oscar contenders and, movies we have to see, we're going to review this Friday. And a quick programming note, Friday, the show is earlier. It'll be 7:30 a.m. and we'll be done like before 9:30. So 7:30 a.m. show on Friday because Alan and I are going to an awards event, part of the CCA. And it's a luncheon. So there you go. And Alan has to drive from Orange County.
Yeah. Not looking forward to it. It's going to
What's
take forever
up,
to get out there.
Ernie?
It's going to take me 2 hours to get there.
Yeah. But hey, let's see who's here and say hi to everybody before we start.
Well, from Eric Stratton, it's so nice that Chris's half-brother, Guy Fieri, is doing so well on TV.
He never calls. He never calls, doesn't say a word, and he stole my hairstyle.
Yeah. Forget an invite to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Chris from Moonlight Productions plugging in for the drive home and want to tell you that I have not one but 2 new Film Threat articles on AI, and the gloves are off. I have industry pros emailing me, telling me I'm spot on. Cheers.
I love that Chris has started a discussion and debate. There needs to be debate. I think there are things about AI I really don't like, and some exciting things that I think are going to benefit indie filmmakers. I think who's SOL, who's gonna be, that stands for shit out of luck. You never use that term, do you, Alan?
No, I don't. I swear.
Are going to be a lot of people who work for the studios that will lose their jobs.
Mhm.
But when it comes to indie film, it will only expand. It will only expand opportunity. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So cool. Wait, someone says I'm on the wrong mic. Am I?
I think so, yeah. was going to.
Well, thanks for telling me.
Well, you started the show when I realized it, and then.
How does this sound?
Yeah, there you go. That's better.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Atomic Lori. Keeping things going. Thank you. And thank you, Chris.
Guard Night returns. Alan, it's time to get out and show yourself, Mr. Get Out here and suffer with the rest of us. I don't understand what that means.
I don't know what it means, but well, there you go. Thanks, Garth Knight.
Okay. Yes, I'm out. I'm a normal sexual. And from MK Solid, no dirty talk today. Even if Alan gets all worked up, you know the rules.
I've heard them
dirty
before.
lately. Is that the Scott Christie Jones, member 1991? Name me a superhero film better than Condor Man. How about every superhero film?
Yeah, the Marvels. I'm sorry to say, Scott, but thank you for being a member.
I watched Condor Man like 3 months ago, and it's not good. Daniel Stinestam, Alan Earth.
Alan Earth, that's coming to Hulu. soon.
Alien Earth.
And Lord
from
Thoth.
Lord Thoth. Yes. Go ahead.
No, you do it.
Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Sign up as a member. Join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram. Buy our merch. Shop.filmthreat.com.
Gotcha. All right, folks. Let's do it. Let's get into it. So much to discuss. But before we do, a couple quick notes. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. This is going to next week. The Spirit of Halloween collection is gone. The fall collection of jerseys is gone. The World Series starts on Friday. I'll be wearing my Film Threat jersey. People assume, I have it right here. People assume it's like a Dodgers jersey, and it's not. It's
more
not.
Chargers blue than Dodger blue.
But, people look, they have to like do a double take, which I like. So that's good. And a couple other things. The award this event is coming up. We recently released a video on our channel. Just like to tell you everyone about the event. Please watch that video. Please watch the video and like it and comment so we get it in the algorithm and get a lot of views for that particular video. Which you can, if you love Alan, he's all over that video.
And if you love Brandy Roderick, she's all over.
If you love Brandy Roderick, she's all over the video. So please watch that trailer. I'm not going to, I've played it already several times. I'm not going to play it for you now. Just tell you, please watch it and get us the views and share it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we're still looking for sponsorship. Am I correct?
Yes. If you might be a sponsor of the event, we did line up Heineken. I'm very excited about Heineken. So there you go. Now, lots of news. Alan, you'll never believe this actually happened. And I'm seeing this movie because I bought a ticket. But some people saw Begonia and had their heads shaved bald. Now, I saw some pictures from this event, and I'll share them with you shortly. So they did a screening of Begonia where if you were bald, you got in for free. And if you were willing to have your head shaved, you got in. I have the proof. And this is obviously a stunt on social media. And here we go. I'm going to show you one of the videos. Here's a montage of people getting their heads shaved right now that I will share with you, Alan. I can't imagine what you and I would look like if we did this. Let's look at this. Here we go. Wow. Oh, man. Oh. This is crazy. And they're doing it really close. It's not like just
there's no cheating here.
Wow. Oh. Did you see the look of the girl
Yeah.
at the end? Oh man.
Okay.
All
We're
right,
looping.
I get it. We get it. So there's other photos of this. Everyone at the screening was bald. I think some people cheated here. They were not. Their hair wasn't that short.
Well, I think that's a mohawk.
Yeah, but oh, kind of fun. I mean, it's how much to see the movie? $20.
Well, I hope
And
the movie
people are
was worth
willing
it.
to shave their head. Now, here's the thing. Here's the question. Would you do this? I'll give you my answer. No. In fact, hell no. My main is part of my personality here. Alan, what about yourself?
No. I mean, it would have to be for a movie that was worth shaving my head for. And Begonia is not that movie.
Yeah, it's not that movie for me either. I'm seeing it tomorrow. So we'll talk about it on Friday, but yeah, not for me, but enjoy. I've heard things about the movie too, by the way. I've heard it will be very controversial.
Like
That-
One Battle controversial?
In a way that probably not as much, but that way in terms of audiences will be divided with some loving it and others saying, hell no. So we'll see what camp you and I fit into once we see it.
Well, hopefully the budget of that film is not as big as One Battle was.
I don't think it's $100 million. I'm gonna say,
which is fine. $50 million movie that's political on one side, fine. You probably will make your money back.
Yeah. But wow, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, also his movies are kind of hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved some and really despised others. So we'll see. Hey, Alan, now we rarely talk about Star Wars on this show. I mean, when was the last time we talked about Star Wars? Probably when that Acolyte show was on.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? That was not just that was like dread. I could hear it.
I know. I'm just waiting for the words Han, Luke, and Leia to
No,
emanate from
I
your mouth.
won't say the thing I always say, which is, had they reunited Han, Luke, and Leia in a Star Wars movie, that I thought that was going to be the sequels. Reunite.
Yeah, they were in the room together.
Reunite Han, Luke, and Leia, and then have adventures. How hard is that? See, I could be Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
But
I mean, all three were at the table read. We saw the picture.
Yeah. Couldn't put them in one scene together. You fail. But
Yeah.
Adam Driver,
how bored was Mark Hamill during that table read?
Adam Driver, this is from the AP. He was recently interviewed. He commented on Jim Jarmusch, the filmmaker. They've worked together before on a zombie movie, oddly. Star Wars and putting filmmakers first. I like Adam Driver quite a bit. He emerged from the TV show Girls. Make of that what you will. He's was a Marine. He's a family man. Kind of a normal guy. And very unusual looking as an actor. And I like that in the sense that, they used to cast faces that were unusual. He's not traditionally good looking guy. He's different looking. And I love that. So he wanted to make a Ben Solo movie. Alan, you have the notes from the AP. Read it to me.
Yes. Well, Adam Driver confirmed that he and director Steven Soderbergh secretly developed a Star Wars movie titled The Hunt for Ben Solo. The story would have taken place after 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, exploring how Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, might have survived and continued his redemption arc. Driver said, "I always said with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved it, but Bob Iger and Alan Bergman said no. Boo." Driver and Soderbergh worked on script with Rebecca Blunt, later bringing in Scott Z. Burns to write the full script. Lucasfilm execs, including Kathleen Kennedy and David Filoni, were reportedly on board. However, Disney leadership rejected the project, questioning how Ben Solo could still be alive. Soderbergh later joked, "I really enjoyed making a movie in my head. I'm sorry fans won't be able to see it." Driver described the canceled film as one of the coolest fucking scripts I've ever been part of. It aimed to return to the tone and craftsmanship of Empire Strikes Back, character-driven, handmade, and emotional, rather than CG-heavy blockbuster. The rejection came during a major transition period for Lucasfilm. Yeah, we'll end it there.
Well, first of all, the fact that I didn't know this, the fact that Steven Soderbergh was involved really intrigues me. I've interviewed him before. I'm a fan of his work. He came from Sex Lies and Videotape back in 1989, all the way back then. Just always loved Soderbergh. He always takes an unusual take when he approaches projects. That is really cool to hear. So I hope the script leaks. Why don't they just make a movie? You could call it Sky Benwalker. Make a space adventure movie with the same script. Just don't have it attached to Star Wars. Star Wars immediately makes it uninteresting to me. Make a separate movie about a spacefaring adventurer called Sky Benwalker. Why not? I mean, if the script is that good, it should be able to stand alone, not being affiliated with Star Wars. I say make the movie. Just change the names. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, how about calling it Rebel Moon?
That didn't work out so well. Yeah, that did work out so well. But I have more faith in Soderbergh than I have in Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
What I think about this, executives have too much power. Executives don't know anything about creativity, don't know anything about storytelling, and Disney's screwed.
You think so?
I mean, look, they had two big hits, with Lilo and Stitch, Inside Out 2, and I think they got lucky on those. It was just like, oh yeah, give me a sequel to some IP, or let's do a remake. But in terms of creativity, what is the most creative thing that Disney has put out in the last 10 years?
I can't think of it. Can you?
Nope.
Everything is IP or franchise or sequel or a live action remake. It's disheartening.
Yeah.
It's disheartening. This would have been a huge risk. If their only problem was how is it that he is alive, it could have been a prequel. And also, no one ever really dies in Star Wars. I think it's a bad idea.
Hey, Palpatine. No one questioned how Palpatine survived.
It's a bad idea to bring Ben Solo back. It's not a bad idea to make a Ben Solo movie, but maybe a better idea is make this movie unaffiliated with Star Wars. And by the way, if you watch Soderbergh's recent work, this guy, I love that Soderbergh's like, let's make a movie with an iPhone. I'm going to make a movie, a ghost movie from the point of view of the ghost. He rolls the dice. He's the kind of risk taker, filmmaker that should be running a studio now. He's
an unconventional director, which makes him better than every other director except Christopher Nolan.
So I say this, make the movie, but divorce it from Star Wars and you'll have something special. Hey, I love going to the theater. You know who else loves going to the theater?
Elizabeth Olsen.
So this is from In Style magazine, which is probably why I don't know about it. She did an interview and talked about being in movies and really just like, look, if it's coming out in theaters, I'll do it. If it's a streaming movie only, I'm out. Alan, I know you have notes from In Style, a magazine I understand you read a lot.
Yes. I guess this one's just sitting in the corner while I get to it.
Well,
Because I got to get through this one's GQ, which is actually an interesting issue. But yeah, In Style is on the desk right now. Well, anyways, Elizabeth Olsen says she will only sign on to films that guarantee a theatrical release, refusing projects designed from the start for streaming. I don't want to make something where that's the end all, she explains, adding that she believes movies are meant to be experienced together in public spaces. For Olsen, the theatrical model is most spiritual. I think it's important for people to gather as a community to see other humans be together in a space. She worried about post-pandemic habits and digital isolation are pulling audiences further apart. She's determined to support films that bring people back to the theaters. Olsen also acknowledges the role Marvel has played in her career, especially in giving her the freedom to choose the kind of theatrical project she wants. Playing Wanda Maximoff has been both fun and meaningful for her, saying, making the films is joyful. I jump at the opportunity to be in her shoes again. She credits the MCU for providing a stable foundation that lets her pursue smaller, curated films the way she prefers. Still, Olsen's priority outside of Marvel is clear. She wants her movies on the big screen where she believes cinema truly belongs.
I love this that she came out and said it. I'm a theaters only person. Like, there was a business model that worked in Hollywood. A movie would come out. Okay. It's out. Right. And then it would leave theaters, and it was 6 months before it came out on say first pay-per-view. Then maybe around that time the DVD came out. And then a year later, and it would be maybe 9 months to a year later, it'd turn up on cable like HBO or Stars or Cinemax or whatever. Movies had a business model that made money. Now that big tech has come in and streaming is going to save things. Everyone's making less money. Maybe this model doesn't work. Maybe, I mean, it seems, and I've said this before, whenever one of the tech companies comes in, what they're coming in to do is add convenience to what the business is, whether it be hotels, whether it be taxis, whether it be movies and TV. We're going to add convenience. Convenience. I push a button, I get food delivered. I push a button, someone comes and picks me up in a car and takes me somewhere. I push a button and a movie magically appears on screen. Well, what we've given up with convenience, we've diminished the profits for people doing the actual work. It's almost mafia-like the way that tech is coming in. This is why I don't fully trust AI, because what it will do is reduce the number of jobs for the studios, put more people out of work. Okay. So, I like people like Elizabeth Olsen holding the line, or a Chris Nolan or a Tarantino, because we're not going to get any more Tarantinos and Chris Nolans with the current model. Alan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, theater's like church. You can't do church online. You got to be with people. We've seen a few Netflix movies in a theater with people,
Right?
and we've enjoyed those Netflix movies in a theater with people. You mentioned it. What's the experience of watching F1 on your big screen TV? Nowhere near as cool as being in the theater to see it. I think this is the saddest thing, is just these studio executives don't understand how important the theater is, and that even if it means you spend a little more money or a lot more money, that the theatrical experience is worth it. and the theater is worth keeping open and supplying with a steady stream of good movies.
And theaters, in a way, like having a theatrical release increases the value of the movie. That's, I think, what's important. So let's get back to that.
Yeah. Let me just say, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen in a long time, and I specifically avoided watching them on TV, knowing that they were going to be re-released in theaters, and I went to see it then. I could have seen Rocky Horror Picture Show at home, but no, I chose to see it by myself in a movie theater. Back to the Future, another one. I'm gonna hold off. I don't need to see it until I see it in the theater.
I love Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. I have tickets to see it next week. I have tickets. I am super excited. We will do a review. We will do a review of a re-review of Back to the Future. But hey, in a story related to our main topic today, Warner Brothers Discovery has received interest from multiple parties. Let's get into this story from Deadline. Alan, let's talk about it.
Hold on, let me find it.
And here's David Zaslav here, much criticized, but apparently this has been rumored for a while, and now it seems this is actually in discussions. Let's say that doesn't mean anything, but go ahead, Alan, give it to me.
Yes, Warner Brothers Discovery has confirmed that multiple companies are interested in either buying the entire company or major pieces of it, including Warner Brothers itself. This comes as Warner Brothers prepares to split into two separate businesses, one focused on film and streaming, the other on traditional television, Discovery Global. The board has now launched a formal review to explore all strategic options, including possible sales, mergers, and alternate split structures. The renewed interest follows a rejected bid from David Ellis and Skydance Paramount, which WB felt undervalued the company. With a rare Hollywood studio effectively on the market, speculation has grown about potential buyers ranging from Apple to Comcast. Though Netflix has indicated it is not likely to pursue the deal, Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav said the outside interest reflects the significant value of the company's assets, especially its studio and streaming divisions, which the split is designed to strengthen by separating them from the declining cable business. The move mirrors Comcast strategy of spinning off cable networks, signaling an industry shift as traditional television viewership continues to fall and the consolidation accelerates. Following the announcement, Warner Brothers stock jumped 9%, and investor attention is expected to stay focused on buyout rumors as CEO commentary throughout the upcoming earning season.
Look,
hold on. Let me set the picture
please.
Here. But Discovery, ran by David Zaslav, buys Warner Brothers. They become Warner Brothers Discovery, and now they're interested in splitting it between Warner Brothers and Discovery.
Right. Oh my God, you're right. It's utterly ridiculous. It's a shell game here, and it's a lot of a lot of corporate heads like engaging in a dick measuring contest. Okay, that's what this is, and we're gonna see. I have no inside info. This is merely a theory. There are a lot of things that they have that are worthless, like CNN, right?
Yeah.
Like that is legacy media, expensive, and it's all prescription drug ads. That's what's keeping CNN afloat, which may or may not influence the news. I don't know. Does it? You tell me.
About drugs and pandemics and things.
Does it influence? Who can say? All I'm saying is that's a losing business right there.
Mm-hmm.
But there are parts that are worth quite a bit. So I think this may be sold off when a car gets totaled, there are still pieces of the car worth a lot of money. And what may happen is parts will be sold off. So it may not be some one giant deal. It may be, who knows, DC being sold to another company. I'm not saying that Netflix would buy DC because they would inherit what? A comic company, all the brands and the, to make movies and series from. I don't know. I mean, I think that would be terrible. I think the more companies, the better. Competition, I think, is good. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this.
I'm trying to think of what company could best take DC and transform it into a girls brand.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, Marvel versus DC could happen if Disney bought it. I think Disney, I'd be happy for Disney to sell off everything.
Or better yet, how about Disney buy DC and have both
Disney, please sell off Marvel and Star Wars. Make them boys brands again. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, I just find it interesting that because the sense you get reading these headlines is that the great experiment of Warner Brothers Discovery is not working.
Yes.
It had a good start at the beginning of this year. It had 7 films earn $40 million opening weekend. Many of those films doing very well in the box office, and I think that's probably helping its bottom line in terms of what kind of price it could get compared to earlier this year. It just, I think Netflix buying it. Why would Netflix buy a movie studio and have a company that's not going to send movies to the theaters? Can you imagine no Warner Brothers movies going to theaters? Because
that's why I think Netflix is a bad idea.
Yeah. And then, Paramount is not going to do it. I don't think the FCC is going to allow Skydance to have a third movie studio under its management. And so I don't know. And Universal going to buy it, or Comcast, I should say. I don't know. It's just an interesting time. And I never thought that with the success Warner Brothers has had so far this year, that they would entertain this. Shoot, I doubled. I was an owner of Warner Brothers stock earlier this year. I doubled my money. Had I held on to it, I would have tripled my money.
Let's go to comments from everyone here before we get to our main topic. Oh, we have a lot, Alan. We'll start with Soups from the top.
All right. Daniel-san for 499. Hey, amigos, are you gonna talk about Bob Iger was the main villain in destroying Star Wars and turning down the Kylo Ren movie?
We did talk about that. I mean, Bob Iger is the main villain in all of this because I think he could be called, it could be argued, a great deal maker, bringing in Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
However,
he did that over a decade ago.
Yeah. Having done that, he has proven to be a terrible shepherd of those franchises and not protecting them and guiding them to their fullest potential.
Yeah. And guess what? All his employees are getting laid off.
And when you look
under his leadership,
when you look at Daniel-san, thank you. When you look at decisions he made, like, let's do a Star Wars theme park, but we'll base it on the sequel characters. No one cares. I don't want to go to, I don't even remember Batu. It's Batu. I don't care about Batu. Tatooine.
Oh, hey, don't forget the hotel.
Yes, let's do a hotel. We'll base it on the sequel characters and we'll make it like party games for that you would do at a birthday.
Yeah. It's a LARPing vacation.
A LARPing vacation for Disney adults, childless Disney adults. Hard no. So the decisions he was involved in were bad decisions other than the acquisitions. Those were good calls. I remember hearing on the radio that Disney acquired Star Wars and would be making Star Wars sequels. I pulled over my car. A friend of mine called me. That's all we talked about that day. We were on the phone. They're going to get Luke, Han, and Leia. And then look where we are.
Yeah. Oh, I felt the same way when they bought Marvel. It's like, oh, finally Marvel's saved.
Hey, do you know this year is 2015? Excuse me, is 10 years since The Force Awakens came out in 2015. It's 2025. Has anyone said the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens?
Yeah, when are we getting the 10-year anniversary screening?
We're never getting through these soups. We'll get through them, folks. I'm sorry.
It's okay to laugh at two. Ryan Coogler confirmed developing new X-Files. Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea.
Well, his mother told him he better not screw it up. Suns and Shadows for 5. That's it. Soderbergh, Solaris. He can do sci-fi. I barely.
Well, yeah. I just want to see what his take would be.
Let's see. Will Yum member for 15 months. Warner Brothers giving a masterclass in stock manipulation. Reject offer, stock goes up. Reject higher offer, stock goes up. Repeat.
Yes, William. Exactly. That's what this is. Probably nothing will come of it, but I still think actually serious. There's some conversation.
Yeah. Taryn for 5. Movies made today are more expensive than ever. 100 million plus budget plus 75 million for marketing, but the movies still suck. You can't blame that on streaming. No.
True.
I think we've been beating that drum for a very long time.
Thanks, Taryn.
Jacob Twig. Let Zack Snyder finish his story. Mean the creator of Rebel Moon?
He's talking about DC.
I know, but still. No, I did not.
Zack Snyder has to finish.
I'm not a fan
his
of
story. He offered us something different, and people wanted talking like the Avengers. I'd love to see that done as a comic or an art book, a tabletop art book would be great. I think he had a much more epic vision. What we got from Gunn is something that feels small and TV.
Yeah, let's Zack Snyder finish the story.
Yeah.
Jacob Twig for $4.99. Matthew Salcedo, off topic, loved the 30-minute scene in One Battle After Another where the same piano loops the whole time. A great movie, just saw it.
Thanks, Matthew. That's fair. Look, while we've had issues with One Battle After Another, I think the performances, the filmmaking are top notch. So there's other issues with the movie, but worthy of discussion.
I don't know about top notch. The Watcher, WB needs to stay independent. All these companies eating each other is bad for storytelling.
Agreed.
Yeah, Tom Siebert, theater is like church. That's a very cogent observation.
Yeah,
it is. It's a communal experience. That's the point. Our Martian, the theater experience and its event status will never return to what it was 20 years ago. Entertainment has evolved.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. It's not like an event. It was an event. We're going to the movies. We're going to see whatever. I mean, not every movie was an event. Some was like just popcorn movie, fast food movie, and that's okay, right? Horror film, cheesy horror movie, cheesy comedy, cheesy romantic comedy. That's fine. And then there were event films, big movies.
Yeah, I mentioned it Monday on Versus, but I just saw the William Wyler documentary, and Ben-Hur. That's an epic event movie, and the movie had to be made as a response to getting people back into theaters because of the popularity of television. Yeah. People stopped going to theaters because there's so much great stuff on television, and the only way you could do it was creating an event movie, and that was Ben-Hur.
Yep. Hey, Alan, let's get to our main topic. Are you ready for it?
Yes. So
What are you talking about? Oh my God. All right. James Gunn in the DC universe. There has been recent speculation fueled by maybe another James Gunn tour. He's one thing you can say about James Gunn, he's very aggressive when it comes to doing press. And we dug up some clips here that we need to talk about, Alan. But what do you, before I show a series of clips, let's suss out the situation. What do you think is going on here with Gunn?
I believe Gunn is in a constant state of having to justify the decisions he makes. Like I've been on the Superman bandwagon. I liked Superman. I've seen it many times. But even I am starting to get weary of James Gunn. Just make a movie. You don't need to defend yourself constantly.
I mean, some things that people have pointed out, he put himself front and center with all the PR for Superman and Peacemaker for that matter.
Yeah.
He's done a Peacemaker podcast. Like when I look at that, he's running DC, personally writing and directing all these things. I mean, look, my hat's off to him. He's got a lot of energy, but is he doing things he doesn't need to do?
Mm-hmm.
I would say yes. Well, in this clip, this wasn't really a podcast necessarily. It was a bunch of people group interviewing James Gunn, the new rock stars. I think the only person I know in here is Ryan Airy, who I watch and who I enjoy actually. But let's see what Gunn has to say in this clip.
I expect you to reveal if Darkseid is in the show or not. I would never, ever expect to put you in that position, but I am curious what you think about Darkseid as a character, in the comics, or what makes him compelling to put in stories.
I think Dark's, okay. First of all, there's Kirby's whole world, which he created, which is totally fascinating. So that's a huge part of it. It's the new gods in general that is, to me, so interesting, which we're dealing with Mr. Miracle. And I have the screenplay that I haven't read yet on my shelf right now.
So there's a Mr. Miracle screenplay. You ready for that?
Well, if it's good.
Okay. Well, we'll
I mean, I don't even know who Mr. Miracle is. So
I know who Mr. Miracle is, but I was
a name like that.
Eh.
Why would I want to watch a Mr. Miracle movie?
All right,
go ahead, keep playing.
Let's keep going. I don't know where I ended, but someone will tell me.
So
I thought.
There's that aspect of it, and then there are aspects of Darkseid as in Thanos are obviously very similar. They look very similar, and because of that, I think that to give you probably more than an answer than you expected. I don't using Darkseid as the big bad right now is not necessarily the thing, because for a lot of reasons, because Zach did it so cool in his way, and because Thanos and Marvel,
So I think that's a fair answer. There. I've got another clip here.
I just want to say, why are we jumping from Superman to Darkseid all of a sudden?
Well, he asked the question. I think it's worth it.
I understand
so
that.
a complicated idea.
Okay, here we go here.
Okay.
And here he is. I don't know. He really went on a press tour with some YouTubers I know and some I have no idea who they are, and that's cool. I love that. I love that he's willing to do that. He doesn't talk to us, but that's okay. Let's see what he has to say.
Idea like salvation, which is, as you pointed out in your podcast, George R.R. Martin's idea, which is one of the craziest things to me, because I didn't know about that until later. And I knew because I read Salvation Run, and I'm like, oh, this is such a great idea. I think the story can be more like this. And my story was always more like what George R. Martin's original intention was. A guy who came out and said great things about Superman, by the way. And so that was it's just one of those weird moments where you go, God, life is so strange. Not to mention the fact that he, to me, really, like his books are probably the biggest influence on me in terms of the DCU, next to actual DC Comics. They're the biggest because they're such these well thought out worlds that were so deep and so rich with so many connected characters and so many disconnected characters that I think it's really what influences me more than anything else.
So no one, even myself included, was able to fully guess where this season was going. And people are obviously already guessing about Man of Tomorrow. Have you seen any theories that are kind of on the right track, or is this going to be another situation where we are all completely surprised?
I have not been reading everything, so I don't know what everyone has said. You know, when I'm promoting Peacemaker, I'm online a little more because I'm answering people's questions and doing all that stuff. And now that I'm in writing mode and I'm building costumes and doing all this sort of stuff for Man of Tomorrow, I don't know what's going on. I don't know all that much what's going on anyway. I didn't know that people expected a cameo in the final episode until 2 days before the show, when for some...
What? He didn't know?
What?
Isn't he the one that fueled that rumor?
Which cameo we're talking about? Lex Luthor? Or?
Peacemaker season 2, Superman being in the show.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
keep watching.
For some reason I was on Instagram and I saw people saying, what's the cameo going to be? What's the cameo going to be? And I read down and I went, and I even wrote, what cameo are you guys talking about? The big cameo was Lex. But anyway, yeah, so I don't...
Okay, he reveals the big cameo was Lex.
Yeah.
People assumed Superman. Because this
But he forgot he dropped it.
Because this leads into a Superman movie.
Really know always what's going on. So I don't know what people have guessed, but Man of Tomorrow is really, it's very, very connected to Peacemaker, but it's also its own thing. I mean, it has its own story that's, separate from this.
Well, I'm getting the call to wrap up. I feel like we could probably...
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, okay, Alan, I've got one more clip.
Well, here, let me tell you
please.
The thing that's going on in my mind right now. The Marvel Cinematic Universe started with Iron Man, and they built on top of that from there to get to the Avengers and then finally to Endgame. After watching Superman, which is the beginning of Gunn's universe, it just felt like he's starting at Endgame or after Endgame.
Right.
And I feel like all this conversation he's having right now, it feels like to me is something I want to hear years from now as opposed to right now. Because you just started the universe, and I feel like it's just getting out of hand and more complex than I want it to be as someone who's not the biggest DC fan.
Right. So, all right, we talked about Peacemaker. Now we're talking about Lanterns, which is upcoming. Let's take a look at this clip where he discusses it, how it ties in. Let's go.
Speaking of Lanterns, you've already said that Lanterns is really important in setting up things. I mean, you and Peter have said that from the start. Can you tell us a bit more with regards to what you meant by that?
Well, I think it's everything. I think they're important characters, and so that by itself is important.
Yeah.
Without anything else, just like Peacemaker is an important character. Still,
yeah. I mean, I'll say this for a second. He's so much online talking about stuff that everything he says is like a tea leaf to read something into.
Yeah.
So watching these YouTubers that, are asking him he doesn't realize that him being online and responding to questions, all it does is create more questions. The best thing he could do is be like a Tarantino or a Chris Nolan and make movies and maybe not be so available.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's like Bible study where you take each verse and you break it down into its words and its meanings. And that's what we're doing now. We're taking everything that James Gunn says, breaking it down, trying to understand, well, what could he possibly mean by this? And then establish some kind of idea of the direction the DC universe is going. and it's probably not even going to go in that direction.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like he doesn't realize that him being so available and being so, because he wants to be of the people.
Mhm.
And I get it. I knew James Gunn back in the day, super cool guy. I assume he still is mostly that guy, but now he's in a different position.
Right.
And everything has become political. And I don't mean politics, but being diplomatic in the industry, in talking to fans and doing stuff. And I think maybe the less said, the better. Promote something when it's out, maybe do one or two best interview he ever did was with Josh Horowitz. But I like Josh. He's very, I don't know what benefit there is to talking to, with all due respect to Boba Talks, a show I'm just now discovered.
Boba Talks, that's kind of cultural appropriation for one thing.
It might be
Here's
a
the
Boba
thing.
Fett reference. Sorry.
I mean, you mentioned it. James Gunn is right now unexpectedly, unknowingly setting expectations.
Correct.
And people are going to take what he says, build up this story in their head, raise expectations, and then when the movie comes out and doesn't meet those expectations, he already has a failure on his hands.
Yeah. So, all right, let's keep watching this, and then I have one more clip to show. But let's continue with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's that, but there's also other things that kind of go into the far into the future in terms of what happens in that show.
Okay. And you've previously mentioned that some DC projects have had, a bit of a harder time coming along than others, whether that...
I do have to give him credit for talking directly to the nerds, bypassing Deadline and Variety, talking to uber nerd YouTubers. I don't want to disparage them. I'm just saying that good for him. He doesn't even need to do much of this. So, but onward.
The Authority or whether it be Waller. I've always been curious about the Arkham show, which is a project you mentioned being one of the first pitches that you bought when you came on board at DC.
There it is. He's throwing up.
It's like, here, you said it.
Tweets. You said this.
You said this. So explain yourself.
So here we go.
So, this is way at, the back of 2023. So it's been a minute, but is there any hope for a series like that to still be a thing in the future, maybe?
Hope, sure, but that isn't something that's being developed by anyone right now. It just didn't work.
Right.
So
yeah, okay, I understand that. And
I'm going to defend him for a second and tie it to Star Wars. Okay.
Yeah.
Development is a bitch. There are piles. If you go into any producer's office, there are a pile of scripts, paper, chunks of paper, and written across them, you'll see the names of the movies. And a good producer at any given time has 7 or 8 projects that might happen, hoping one happens or a few. And there's a lot. Now, Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy has announced more projects than have been made. If you go through the unmade Star Wars projects, and I believe all of them were in development and didn't happen, and you don't need to tell anyone about those. A project in development, okay, is not a project getting made. And I understand the hope on the part of Kennedy and Gunn is you talk about these developed projects, maybe they get some heat and that helps it get made. Mm-hmm. Certainly for the people who did the pitch for that project, knowing that it's in development, but that means nothing. That means they got paid a fee and a promise of more fees to come for the work on the developing of that thing.
You're talking about the Rey movie?
Talking about all this stuff, all the unmade Star Wars stuff. And the problem is, you don't need to tell us. Tell us when something's being made. You can keep your cards close to the chest, or is it vest? I don't remember. So my point is that Kathleen Kennedy did a disservice to Star Wars fans by taking every project that was in development and letting everyone know about it. maybe that in her mind thinks that puts pressure on Disney to give her the money to make the movie. She doesn't have that money, right? You know, the larger company has to release funds. If you've ever worked for a big corporation, there are funds available, layers of approval, and not just creative approval. There's financial approval layers. I work for a couple big companies. I know what all the paperwork involved in invoicing and money and all that stuff. It's a hassle. But what Gunn has done has made the same mistake as Kennedy in just allowing all the projects that are in development being thought about that aren't being made to just be out there in the ether. And that it causes confusion. And I think that's actually, you know what? He is, I think at his heart, I'm going to defend him. He's still one of us in terms of being a fan, but this job is a really different kind. I'm not telling you I could do this job. I could not. It's the amount of politics. I would be bad at it. Okay. But it's challenging. Let's see if there's any more to
I'll
this
just say, to Gunn's credit,
Please.
you'll never see Kevin Feige do this. Talk to fans.
No, he does. Well, at the red carpets, he does it in a very...
but he wouldn't do a podcast with fans. And
Yes,
allow
he
them
does
to get
not.
in depth about the superheroes that we love.
Yes. So he's a different chief. But let's take a look at more of this.
Speaking of things kind of in active development, obviously we have the main DCU canon and we have Elseworlds. At the beginning of October, actually, Keanu Reeves said that they had another draft of Constantine 2 come in the way. That they were bringing into the studio. So I know there's a real...
This is making my point of what I'm saying about he's got all these things that are in development doesn't mean they're coming. And the mass public, not the people that watch this show, but the mass public that there's this, there's that, it's not just the projects that are coming that are a lot, but then there's all this stuff that aren't they making of that? Let's go on.
Really high bar for greenlighting Elseworlds movies. Is this something that there's been much discussion about?
I've discussed it on and off. I discussed it with Keanu. So
okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great group of guys. I like all those people a lot. I think they're talented, but I have not read any script yet. So
okay, well,
right. I'm going to end on this one clip here that I think will bring it all home.
Yeah, I'll just comment to
You
that.
know, whether or not.
Sorry about that.
No,
Go
I'm just
ahead,
saying,
Alan.
just because he has a meeting with someone doesn't mean a project is going through.
That's exactly what my point. And it's almost like Gunn is being too honest. And so even when they announced the Authority movie, and now that's not happening. They announced a lot. It's starting to become like, and this happened early on. I think Kevin Feige has learned the lesson. Do you know how many, if you go back and look at originally announced phases and movies that didn't happen, you know, like a Blade movie or like Avengers Kang Dynasty didn't happen. I mean, and there are reasons for that, and it's fine, but he's almost being more honest than he needs to be with his audience.
But I appreciate the honesty. I mean, at least he's telling you that we were developing the Authority and the scripts just didn't work and we canceled it. I mean, that's
right.
That's a response everyone wants to hear. Remember what happened when someone asked Kathleen Kennedy about these projects? What did she say? Who said they were canceled?
Yeah, exactly. Because if the more projects you have in development, the more the studio wants you around, because one of those will pop. They'll need to fill a slot, and we've got a couple $100 million. Let's do it. You know, you've got to have a lot of things in active development, but they don't mean anything unless they get made. So here, let's look. I wrote a whole book about this. So, one of my first books I wrote. You can find it digital. In 1999, I wrote a book called "The 50 Greatest Movies Never Made." That's 26 years ago. That book was published from St. Martin's Press. You could look it up. And since it got published, some of those movies actually did get made. So, anyways,
well, now you can add The Hunt for Ben Solo to that book.
If I do a sequel. Okay, let's look at this clip. We'll end on this and go to comments.
That'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise. Depends on a lot of things in life. But yeah.
Okay. And I know you can't give too much away about Man of Tomorrow, but
wait, is this the right clip? Is this the right clip?
Did you just play that one?
Yeah, I just played that one. It's there's another clip where he talks about if he's still at DC. So I played it too late. You gotta give me the timestamp, Lori. So
it's in the link. The timestamp's in the link.
No, she just sent me a link in the private chat.
Okay.
We'll wait for that. While we're waiting for that, yeah, I talked over it. Okay. All right. I talked over it. We're gonna end it there. Okay. Look, this is a problem. And now with the story we did earlier in the show, the fact that I think his contract is up next year in 2026, but he will be by that time started shooting on Man of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do think, based on the lukewarm, almost kind of mixed to negative response to Peacemaker season 2, puts a lot of things in doubt. And I don't think there's a lot of self-reflection on Gunn's part about how he contributes to these things not working.
Yeah. I mean, I'd give him some time. I'd give him a few months to come back and say, okay, here's what went wrong with Peacemaker. I feel like of any of the executives out there, he's the one more likely to do that. Whether he does it or not is the question. But you would never hear that from Kevin Feige. Oh, here's where the Marvels went wrong. Here's where Captain America: Brave New World went wrong. You're never going to hear that from Kevin Feige.
Let's go to comments and then we have a guest coming on too soon.
Yes.
So here we go. Let's go to the comments.
Matthew Hammond for 2. If movies were good, people would go. If movies were good, people would go to the theater. Commas, people. Add commas.
Hey, Alan, could you go through the comments?
Yeah, I'll go.
I gotta. Okay, just a second.
Okay, here we go. Michael Steele for 2. If Gunn is talking, he's lying. Yeah. I mean, again, you could say that about Kathleen Kennedy. You could say that about Kevin Feige. Pyrene Dream. It thinks it's lazy to give one person the creative control over an entire universe of movies. It's like painting the house, the windows, and the door all at the same time. I think you do need one person to have creative control over the entire universe, but that person has to have people surrounding them, giving them advice, giving them criticisms, and balancing it off so that one person is not an authoritarian and just guides everything based on what they think. Kevin Feige was best when he had the Marvel creative team along with him. And when he got rid of them, that's when you saw a distinct downturn of the quality of films. Geek True 64. I'm indifferent on Gunn for DC, not enough to judge the whole execution of the vision yet, but the vision seems all over the place. I think I agree with you completely on this one. Yeah, it is a little early, but signs are not looking good at the moment. Christopher Moonlight Productions. I grew up with comic books. I wanted to be a comic book artist. There's never been a superhero movie that made me as excited as the comic in my hand. Remember what Stan Lee said about comics on screen. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I would love to see some of these comics I read on screen, but I don't trust Hollywood to get it right. For example, Dark Phoenix. ADL is 24. Gunn thinks he is a populist, but he is just another misguided elitist who has become too insulated for the Hollywood bubble. Yeah, I think that's the key here. He's too insulated. He needs to bounce ideas off of people and honest people who give him honest feedback. Patrick Lemire, Lloyd Kaufman, who knows Gunn, let Gunn on Film Threat. Let's get Gunn on Film Threat.
I don't think Gunn will do it. I don't think. I mean, I knew him before when he was at Troma, and I don't think he'll do it. I think he's going with the channels that steer clear of harsh criticism.
Who won't ask him the tough questions?
Yes.
And then Caravaggio Gunn is just too honest. It's fun.
Well, okay. I
honest
mean,
and
in
too open.
certain, look, I mean, with certain things when it comes to development, which is something maybe you don't want to share with everyone, right? That's what I meant in that. So,
Yeah, he can't. He's honest, but he's not measured. He's not
correct.
You know, he's saying things that are coming off the top of his head, and which then turns everyone into interpretation of what he just said, when he was just probably making a comment off the top of his head. And movie America for 2. There are good movies at the theater. Come on, people.
Yes, Back to the Future comes out next week. I can't wait. I've heard about how good it is. There are good movies at the theater, but there aren't as many. I would push back Movies America. There aren't as many good modern movies. We discussed it, and that Matt Walsh rant about 2007, 2008 being the last great, like the peak pop culture. And he's got another rant about monoculture that's very good. Yeah. So
like yogurt. Yeah.
Like what?
Yogurt. You're talking about
Alan, what are you?
You're talking about monoculture, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I got something to say, folks. I got something to say. I need to talk about this. Let's go.
A freaking IKEA chair.
We need to talk about James Gunn and the DC universe. And let me just say, this is something of an open letter to James Gunn. Maybe to tell him some things that his current group of friends are not saying to him. Some things that might be some difficult truths. James, I knew you back. We met at the St. Louis International Film Festival. We were on a panel together. And I got to say, he is one of the nicest people I've ever met in this industry. I met you at the time you were with your first wife, Jenna Fisher. Couldn't be a nicer guy. We were at the Sonoma Valley Film Festival together in the early 2000s. And every time I'd see something advancement in your career, I was so excited that one of us, someone who came from indie film and nerddom, had risen up and finally gotten a studio movie. I remember when you sat in the green room at G4 and you were like, just gotten Guardians of the Galaxy, and you were going on a debate segment with Kevin Pereira, and you sat in the green room and you're like, I don't know, man, it's going to be 3 years of my life. We'll see. And then you were in the editing room and came to a Christmas party I had in downtown LA. I don't know why you turned up, but you were there, and you're like, I don't know, Marvel's just letting me do what I want. And Guardians, I think your best film, it pulled everything together that you're very good at. Very good at. However, I have concerns. And I think some of the concerns are with one of the favorite characters in the DC universe, Superman. That maybe with all the success, maybe there was a time that you could have stepped back. Maybe there was someone who was a better match for that character. Because some have said, and myself as well, I kind of feel like a lot of your movies feel the same. It's a group of misfits, and they're all very likable. The fact that Mr. Terrific is the most interesting character in the Superman movie says something. And then there were clips that came out. There's a exchange you had with David Cornsweet where he argues that maybe I shouldn't be so over the top in this speech about what it's like to be human. And he's sort of yelling that speech and getting upset during a couple moments. Doesn't seem like Superman-like behavior, but when that is broken up by a crypto grabbing Lex for a joke, and David Cornsweet pushed back. I'm here to say that, and then seeing all the publicity around Superman, I just feel like there's people around you that maybe aren't telling you, they're telling you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And that's it. Maybe take a step back, maybe do a little less press, and maybe listen to some of the other people that are on your crew. Not to give you advice, you are a multi-millionaire, but I think sometimes I've seen people in the industry reach a point where they're less willing to listen to other voices. I've always felt the filmmakers, I think, that do really great creative work are ones that listen. It's a team sport. And so I say this out of affection and love for your early work. And I've seen recently, especially with Peacemaker season 2, we didn't really need to see that bisexual orgy. And I'm no prude, James. You know that. I'm no prude. But I'll just say, Superman, I think, is a property that means a lot to a lot of people. And I think your vision maybe wasn't the right fit.
A freaking IKEA chair.
I don't know. I think I've said it enough. But see, it's too late. He says it at 6:58. I need this clip before the show. Okay, he says it at 6:58. It's at 4. Hang on. I needed this before the show started. This is I thought this was the clip. That's okay.
That's all right. I'm lost too. So
Yeah, no, the show's kind of fucked today, and I got to apologize to everybody. I didn't fully communicate the clip I wanted. So that's okay. It's the clip that everyone has showed except for us.
And that's what makes it special.
Thank you, Alan, for being here. So, I don't know. Don't clip any of this shit. Don't use it. We fucked up. All right, let's go to Soups before we get to we have an interview coming up.
Yes. Macron lady for 100, I believe that's Argentinian pesos. I'm scared with all this WB crisis. Gunn won't have enough time to direct his wife kissing some other guy again.
Yeah. How's that going to happen?
I know. Anand for 5 Australian. Turns out a guy who posts about pedophilia can't write a Superman movie that connects with people. Shocker. That's Epic Mike. James Gunn trying to beat Disney for the quickest franchise destruction. And then Movie America follows up his super chat with Weapons, F1, Warfare, Final Destination, Bloodlines are good modern movies.
No argument there.
I forgot about
really
Warfare.
Good examples, especially F1.
Yeah.
Especially F1. So there you go. All right, Alan.
Yeah.
You know what we like to do on the show? We like to interview indie filmmakers, talk about their projects. Let's talk to the director behind the movie Vindication Swim. Hey, welcome to the show, Elliott Hasler. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yeah, it is. It's spot on. Most people get it wrong, but you got it right. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Tell us about your movie, Vindication Swim.
So Vindication Swim is the true story of Mercedes Gleitz, who was the first British woman to swim the English Channel. She did it back in 1927. And the film kind of follows her journey. It's a real sort of, story of overcoming adversity, perseverance, determination, that kind of thing. It's a very inspiring story, and one that we shot out on the English Channel itself. There was no fakery in the film, no body doubles, no green screens. It took 3 years to make, so it was a real endurance to bring it to the screen as well.
Sorry about that. I'm queuing up. You know what I got? I found your trailer. I want to show the trailer for the movie, but has this story been told before?
No, this is the first time. I mean, she was sort of a forgotten figure. I mean, she was so famous back in the sort of the late 20s, early 30s when she did the swim, but then she really kind of dropped off the map. But yeah, with this film, we've kind of sort of contributed this resurgence in her legacy, which has been great to be a part of.
Well, I'm a huge fan of sports movies. In a way, it's a tried and true, hopeful genre. It's a movie, kind of stories that have one of two endings: you win or you lose, but you win respect. But this being a true story adds a whole other layer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of it's spot on, really. I mean, it is. It definitely fits into that kind of sports genre. You get those kind of moments that you look for, I think, in every kind of sports movie. But yeah, it's one about swimming, and there aren't too many movies about swimming, so it sort of gives it a bit of a unique kind of edge.
Let's take a look at the trailer for the film, and then we're going to get some questions from our audience. This is on the Film Threat Trailers channel, by the way.
Yeah, we reviewed it actually a while ago.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look.
We are not turning back.
She'll never make it.
She has to try.
Ever since I was a girl, I've had a longing for the water. To swim, for me, is like nothing else in the world.
My name is Mercedes Gleitz. I'm a swimmer, and I'm told you might train me.
Cold, extreme fatigue. It's best at the strongest of men.
Well, thank God I'm a woman.
I understand the water, its movements, its rhythm, and
Sometimes I fancy it understands me too. What if I don't make it?
I'll wager you can arrive at 1,000 reasons why you won't. All you have to do is hang on to the one that says you can.
Miss Gleitz will go down in history as the first British woman to ever swim the English Channel. Mrs. Edith Gade splashed onto the sand following the shock completion of an English Channel swim.
For this evening's honourable guests, please put their hands together in vigorous applause for Miss Edith Gade!
I can assure you, that woman's not to be trusted.
In this country, Miss Gleitz, an unmarried woman at your age raises suspicion. Isn't it best you step aside now and avoid further humiliation?
I did swim the channel. I know you did, but they'll never believe you.
Show them what you know to be true, that you can swim the English Channel. Come on, girl.
Are you sure you want to carry on with all this? There's no shame in quitting.
No, I'm not quitting. I've got to make it. I've got to.
Don't swim away!
Wow. So I see two major challenges in getting this. Doing this on an indie level. One, it's a period piece. That's a whole other level of issues right there. The second thing is it's shot on the water, much of it. How did you attack those problems big problems on an indie level.
Yeah, I mean, this was it was a big one to kind of take on. Really, as you say, it's period and it's shot out on the open ocean. So it was a very, very tough one to do, especially on an indie budget. But we were just a very kind of dedicated team of people who were very passionate about this story and wanted to bring it to the screen. So we kind of looked at creative ways of getting around. I'll start with the period piece. So we sort of what we do is, for instance, we'd ring up classic car clubs and say we're making this movie. We're looking for some classic vehicles of the 1920s, 30s. Would you like to have your car featured in a movie? We can't really pay you, but we'll cover your gas and we'll give you lunch and all of that. And then 9 times out of 10, they came back and said, "Don't worry about the gas, don't worry about the lunch. We just want to be part of a movie and have our car featured in it." So it was really kind of made with that ethos. People were just very happy to kind of help out and collaborate and bring whatever it was they had to offer really to the production. So that was kind of how we went about the period aspect. And then with the filming out at sea, I mean that was very, very tough. I was very inspired by Jaws and Spielberg's quote about how we'd never advise anyone to go and film out on the water. That was kind of what kickstarted the whole thing. And I kind of wanted to go out and see just how hard it was. And he was right. I wouldn't advise anyone to go and film out on the water. It was very difficult.
Producers of Waterworld would probably agree with you. We've got like 2,500 people watching live. We have a lot of questions in our chat. Let's go to those questions. Alan, you ready?
Sure.
Here we go. Start with
All right, from ADL's 24. Working on an indie budget, what were the primary difficulties in shooting a film that not only requires to be shot on open water, but asks its actors to be subjects to shooting out of the elements?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we just had a very dedicated team of actors, really. They were all, very passionate about the characters they were playing and the story that we were telling. So, for instance, Kirsten Callahan, who plays Mercedes, even in her audition, she said that she wanted to do all of the swimming herself without any body doubles. So that was what we did. She was spending up to 4 hours in the water, sometimes swimming. We trained her up sort of 3-4 months of intense open water swim training before we started filming. And then she carried that on for the entire 3 years that we were shooting. She swam every single day. So, she became a fantastic swimmer by the end of it. And John Locke, who played her coach, this is a pretty good story about him. The first day we went out, he was really badly seasick and he was vomiting over one side of the boat. He turned to the other side, deliver his lines, and then go back and vomit over the other side again. But, it just shows sort of, the challenges we face, but also how dedicated we were to telling the story.
All right. From Fresh Snow, she put Rolex watches on the map, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's true. She did. We tried to get that in the film. Unfortunately, Rolex said no, but that is an aspect of her story.
They wouldn't send samples over to.
No, we all kind of wanted one. It would have been nice to, have one now. Yeah. But interestingly, the watch Mercedes. So Mercedes was given what was the first Rolex Oyster to swim across the channel wearing, and she came out on the other side, and obviously it was still ticking. So she really was kind of the first, I guess, brand ambassador, if you like. And that watch is actually coming up for sale this November. I forget which auction house it is, but a big auction house in Geneva is selling it off. Estimated price of $1.3 million.
Wow. I have a question. I mean, Disney obviously did Young Woman in the Sea about Gertrude Ederle. I assume that came out while you were in production with this film. Was there kind of worry about your film butt up against that one?
Not really, because we released this in the UK last year, so we managed to beat them out by like 3 or 4 months, which was quite nice to kind of be in sort of just before them. But yeah, I think that film, it was interesting that it came out at the same time because there was sort of this emergence of almost like a subgenre really of these female-led swimming movies. They had Netflix making Naiad as well, so. It was kind of weird to be in the middle of that because I didn't know the other two were being made while we were shooting this film. And I don't know if they probably didn't know that we were making this one either. So it was just a weird coincidence that they all happened to come out at sort of the exact same time. But what was good about having Netflix and Disney doing their versions of a similar kind of story is that it made it such a mainstream topic, whereas obviously this is a very indie movie. It's harder to kind of get the story out there and the promotion and everything. So it certainly helped having those big ones come out as well.
All right, A.D. Ellis asks if you could talk to Mercedes Glee. I know I was going to mispronounce it. What aspect of your film would you be most curious to have her input and reaction to?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it would have to be kind of the swimming sequences because obviously that's what she's so famous for. I would like to know sort of how how real to what she actually went through, they are. Because we tried to do them as realistically as possible. A lot of care was put into making sure that they kind of stuck to the facts of what actually happened. And obviously we shot out in the channel and made it, as authentic and as real as we could. So yeah, I'd like to gauge her opinion on that and kind of see what she felt about it.
Glites, that's what I want to say. Tony, Youthful Eagle Elias, great cinematography.
Oh, thank you.
Patrick Lunger, before Jaws, Spielberg was told not to shoot on water. How did it work out for you?
Yeah, I mean, if Spielberg came to me asking that question, I'd tell him not to shoot out on the water, if it was back in his shoes. But yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. You're battling the elements when you're out there, and it really is kind of like Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Sometimes we go out, we get sort of 1 or 2 shots in the can if we were lucky, and then the winds would change or the tides would change. We'd have to abandon the shoot and come back in, and we were so restricted by the window of kind of the summer, because otherwise it's too cold to be putting the actors in the water and filming out there. So if we missed that, we had to wait a whole other year before we could go out and pick it up again.
I mean, where did you film? I assume it wasn't the channel?
It was all in the channel. Yeah, everything in the English channel. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, A.D. Ellis, what made this story so important for you to tell it in our time? And as the writer and director, which role did you find challenging / growing for your filmmaking abilities the most?
I think in terms of the importance, I think it's a bit of a sad reflection on our kind of society now that the film is still relevant. She was really battling against so many different things at the time, as a woman in the 1920s, but as she was working class. She was up against the British class system of the era. She was the daughter of German immigrants, so she was facing all that kind of racism that they were facing, in Britain after the First World War. So, she really did have to fight against so much in order to come out there and achieve her dreams, really. So I think there is, a lot of relevance in that sort of overcoming adversity message that the film carries, and I think anyone can really be inspired by her story. In terms of your second question, I think it was a huge learning curve in both, really. But I think, in terms of the directing, I think that was the biggest one. I mean, script writing, you can kind of learn a lot without necessarily, kind of being on the ground with it. Whereas with directing, we were really, to pardon the pun, thrown in at the deep end with this movie. So yeah, it was a huge learning curve. And, I got to kind of oversee all the different aspects of it, from the costuming to the sort of production design, obviously the cinematography, and then the editing, the post-production. So yeah, it was a huge learning curve, kind of going through the whole process like that.
And here's a good final question here. Oh, wait, look. 2 more questions. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. From Portland 182, the English Channel is the busiest seaway in the world. Were there safety issues?
Yeah, it's incredibly busy. I mean, every day that we went out there, we had there was a ferry that would come by. It would go out and then it would come back in, and we always had to time it so that we'd stop filming, got everyone back on the boat, and had moved out of its line so that it could pass and then go back out. So we just had to be conscious of that stuff the whole time. I mean, we had a number of lifeguards on set, and we had notified the Coast Guard and everything like that. So we did take safety very, very seriously. The only thing that happened that was pretty sketchy was we lost a producer out there one day. We had to take an actor in to well, yeah, it could have been very bad, but so we had to take an actor in because he had another engagement that he had to get back for. So we swapped him out for a body double. And while we were doing that, the producer had elected to stay out in basically a dinghy, and he was holding the wooden rowing boat that you saw in the trailer. So he was just bobbing out there, and we'd kind of rushed back into shore, dropped this actor off, and then we're heading back out. But as soon as we cleared the harbour wall, a squall just descended on us. You couldn't see anything. The visibility totally dropped. It was hailing. The winds had picked up. The waves were crazy. And we were searching for about 20 minutes. We couldn't find him. He just disappeared in this squall. And then we happened to come upon this circle of fishing boats that we could see their lights. And then in the middle was the producer in his dinghy floating there. So we were very, very lucky. And that was the one time we let our respect for the channel dip, and it gave us a very stern warning in return.
Yeah, and that's why films have multiple producers.
Yeah.
There's so many. You can lose a few.
You lose one, you replace them. All right.
Final question here.
Tony, Youthful Eagle Elias, where and when can we see the film?
It depends where you're based. So it's out in the UK now on sort of all major platforms, and we're doing a theatrical tour of it across the US and Canada right now. So it's in Los Angeles on Friday at 7:10 p.m. The Lamel Royal, and then we've got a number of other screenings. So just follow us on Vindication Swim Instagram or my own Instagram, Elliott Hasler, and we'll keep you up to date with where you can see it.
Yeah.
Great.
And it got a very impressive review from Film Thread.
That's right. You did.
Oh, thank you.
know
I
it or
haven't
not.
had a chance to look at them yet, but I will check it out.
Cool. Elliott, thank you so much for stopping by. Congrats on the film.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
That was great. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like I
We have
said,
a-
you gotta have many producers on your film. in
It's
case you lose
very
one.
helpful. It's very helpful. A few more super chats here as we wrap up.
All right, press M to start. Hey, remember for 30 months, dropping by, saying, "What's up, my dudes? Hope all is 100."
And a quick announcement, actually. And this is a big announcement. We're bringing back Film Threat watch parties.
Yeah.
This Halloween, we are going to present the Quantum Devil Film Threat watch party. You will get to see the movie along with the cast and filmmakers. It's not live, it's pre-recorded because we had filmmakers like in Europe. We had actors in Europe. We had the directors in Texas, and we arranged this. It's recorded. We're going to play it Halloween night. So if you're hanging around Halloween night, you can see the Quantum Devil movie, which has, I'm happy to say, a fair amount of nudity. We had to blur it out. And by the way, we uploaded the file. We got demonetized, so we're not making any money on this. So maybe throw us a super thanks, whatever. Have fun in the chat. So we're doing a Halloween watch party on Halloween night. The Quantum Devil, an award this winning movie. The cast is there. One of the producers, the director. They answer questions, and lots of fun things happen.
No
So-
second screen here. You're gonna see the actual movie on the live
Yeah.
stream.
So we can see the movie and you at the same time. No copyright issues, says Brock Samsonite. Yeah, there were copyright issues. It's blocked in certain countries. I think it's only Spanish speaking countries. But in the US and the UK, you'll be able to watch the movie, and the filmmakers all comment live, and they're commenting on their nude scenes. It's great. I did it yesterday in preparation, and it's going to be fun. If you like this, we'll do more watch parties like this, maybe once a month. But I want to deal with filmmakers who would be willing to show their movies. So it's like a live DVD commentary on Halloween. They were drinking. I was not drinking. It was early in the morning for me, but for everyone in Europe, a lot of people were in Europe. It was later for them. They indulged. So join us for the Halloween watch party special on October 31st, the evening of October 31st. Anything else, Alan?
Not that I can think of. Just that Friday we're starting early and ending early.
We're starting at 7:30 a.m. Alan will leave at 9 a.m. I will still be here. I'm going to do an interview, but the show will end around 9:15 because we're going to an awards event. So 7:30 a.m. might be better for some people, not so much for others. You can obviously watch the replay. And thank you to our mods, Lord Thoth, MK Solid, Atomic Lori, Glenn Uccio, and thank you to Alan.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we're back on Friday. I gotta see like 3 movies in one day to prep for Friday. I'm not prepared.
I know. I'm seeing Frankenstein and Chainsaw Man.
I am seeing, oh my God, I'm seeing Queens of the Dead, Shelby Oaks, Begonia. I've seen Hedda and Springsteen Deliver Me from Nowhere. I've seen all of those movies.
Oh, and I've seen House of Dynamite.
Yeah, so we'll have a very brief news to get us in. We'll be reviewing these movies, and then we have an interview with Long Shadows director William Shockley. So there you go. It'll be fun. Friday will be fun, and you can see our antics. But the watch party, they were fun. We did this mostly over the pandemic. We were kind of like had nothing to do.
Yeah.
Locked in our homes. Some of us, maybe not all of us, but we did these watch parties. We're bringing it back, folks. So join me on Halloween night, the Film Threat Watch Party.
Is Robert Englund a part of it by any chance? Or
no, he's not.
No, okay.
What are you talking about?
Well, he's in the movie.
All right, it's time.
And Alan, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, let's get out of here.